Hey everyone. So I have a very freaky story to tell you. Okay. And it's a freaky story because this is why Crystal Beyond Labels does not have organ donor on her license. Even though I did work for an organization that was all about getting organ donors, I did not ever do that. And we're going to get into this story today here on a special edition of Crystal Beyond Labels because we got to talk about this. So imagine you're in the hospital and you're unconscious and maybe in a coma or something, and they take you off life support because they assume that your brain unalived or whatever, and they're taking you down the honor walk, right? And as they're going down the honor walk, which y'all know the honor walk is where, because you have agreed to donate your organs. So it's like a walk to the operating room because you are doing such a great service by donating your organs, right? So you are there. You're again brain unalive according to them. And as you're going, all of a sudden you open your eyes and you're looking from left to right. You're tracking everybody there. But ain't you brain unalive? Ain't you unconscious? Why your eyes open? But they're going to keep rolling your happy butt into the operating room. And they start to do their procedure, right? And then as they start to do their procedure, you start waking up and fighting, but they still want the organs. You see? Okay. I know you're like, Krista, did you make that up? No, I ain't make that up. Mm-mm. Let me share this story with y'all. Oh, listen. Oh my goodness. This is why I don't be playing with this type of stuff. I do not be playing with that type of stuff at all. Here we go. So, Kentucky man suffers from PTSD after waking up during organ harvesting procedure, y'all. So this man, they're going to be doing an investigation. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services is investigating this organ donation practice after this Kentucky organization allegedly began harvesting organs from people who may not have been alive. So, FYI, he's not the only one. That's the scary part. So a House subcommittee held a hearing on Tuesday on organ donation safety lapses, some concerning Kentucky-based nonprofit Network for Hope, which merged with Kentucky Organ Donor Affiliates, which is called CODA. So here's the story, y'all. TJ Hoover was declared brain dead after suffering an OD in October 2021. But his sister Donna Aurora says doctors attempted to harvest his organs while he was still showing signs of life. Y'all hear that? You see why that don't go on my license? Okay. Rora says TJ's eyes were open and tracking movement during his honor walk when family members gathered to say goodbye before organ donation surgery. So his eyes was tracking, his eyes opened up, his eyes were tracking, but I'm sure because they needed the organs, they said, oh no, that's just part of after you take them off for life support. And these poor people don't know no better. They're sitting there like, oh, okay. But his eyes is open and tracking movement, allegedly. So she says almost immediately as soon as his honor walk started, his eyes were open and they were tracking, looking around at the people that were there. Approximately 45 minutes after TJ was taken to the operating room, Rora says a doctor informed the family they stopped the procedure. She said, I stopped it. He's not ready. He woke up. What? Natasha Miller, who worked as a surgical preservationist on TJ's case for CODA, confirmed he showed signs of life during the procedure. He was moving a lot, just thrashing, not settled, Miller said. Y'all are doctors and y'all don't know this man is not dead? Are we serious? Is this a real thing? See, evil comes in all forms of fashion, people. According to Miller, who's no longer with CODA, TJ's declaring physician believed he showed too many signs of life to continue with the surgery. But CODA, the organ donor organization allegedly wanted to proceed anyway. Rora didn't learn the full extent of what happened until she was contacted by Nicoletta Martin, a former surgical preservation coordinator for CODA, who had been scheduled to take over TJ's case. I was really surprised that morning he had been taken to the cardiac cath lab. He was paralyzed and sedated and moved on with the OR. The hospital staff said they were incredibly alarmed, calling it euthanasia. So the man was still alive, people. The cardiologist said he didn't know why TJ was given a poor prognosis. He said it didn't look like it was brain dead. So it didn't look like it was brain dead, but they wanted the organs. Martin resigned from CODA shortly after TJ's case. Rora says TJ now suffers from PTSD from the trauma, and both women have been advocating for organ donation reform. I would be have PTSD too. Okay, I trust no doctors at this point. I trust no one, because clearly you want my organs. You don't care about saving my life. You just want the organs that I promised you. And you know that's a very lucrative business, FYI. So TJ was able to fight for his life, and he's still here. And there's others that are still here, but there's a lot that are not, Rora said. Network for Hope responded to inquiries about TJ's case in Tuesday's hearings with a statement that reads the following. The Congressional Committee hearing on our nation's organ procurement organizations was an important step toward increasing transparency for the millions of people who choose to register to be organ donors across the country. It also offered a valuable opportunity to clarify the role OPOs play and to highlight the life-saving work being done by organizations like Network for Hope. We hold ourselves to the highest standards and are committed to ongoing improvement as we carry out the sacred responsibility of honoring each individual's decision to become an organ donor. We remain focused on our mission and dedicated to earning and maintaining the public's trust in the donation and transplant system. A load of baloney. Okay? Barry Massa, a load of baloney. Listen, I worked for a company that wanted to get a nonprofit that was trying to get people to sign up to be an organ donor. And just didn't, the Holy Spirit was dealing with me a long time ago. It just didn't feel right with my spirit. I was like, if I sign up for this and you see this on my license, are you going to give me all the life-saving techniques necessary for me to still be alive? Or are you sitting here counting down so you can take my organs? And in this instance, that's what they were doing. Because as the Rora said, he is still here. Her brother is still here. There are others that are still here who had the same thing happen to them, but there's a lot that are not. So they were trying to hang on. They're like, nah, I'm gonna need that heart. Nope, I'm gonna need that liver. Nope, I'm gonna need that. I'm telling y'all, I'll be playing that game. No. I am a follower of Christ. And so I'm going to let the Lord lead me. And the Lord did not lead me to put organ donor on my license. Period. Because, again, man is evil. Y'all need to remember that. Man is evil. God, Jesus is the only good one. Man is evil. And their motivations are questionable. So therefore, are you going to do your life-saving efforts to make sure that I'm still breathing, or you want my organs? Which is more important to you? In this case, it clearly was showing, at least they had some moral people on here who stopped and said, we're not doing it. The other organization was like, no, we're going to keep going. But two was like, we're not doing it. The person who was supposed to do the surgery, they're not doing it. He's alive. He's kicking. He's fighting. He's thrashing. I can't take it. No. That's just how his body works. Who told you that? See, this is why people don't be trusting doctors. Y'all, let me know how you feel in the comments about this story. I just saw this and I had to share it with y'all because I thought this was crazy, scary, and crazy. Please go ahead, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Let me know if you are still putting organ donor on your license. It is not on mine. And I know a lot of people who heard the story, they're removing it they're removing it from their license because they don't want these problems. So yes, please go ahead, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Turn on that notification bell so you can always know when I go live or when I drop a new video. I thank you for all your support, and I will see you here next time on Crystal Beyond Labels. Later.